Boy, look at this mess. Well, you know what? I don't really think of it as a mess. I've been getting all the little parts together to make sure they're getting finished off before final assembly. There's a lot to do still, but I wanted to do an update because I got a few things to show you. So let me get this cleaned up and we'll get started. Now, just to get to some of the stuff that's been going on, you can remember I was going to make this roof panel black. I decided that the brown on this body is so dark that it would not do to have a black roof panel. So I did it in gray, highlighted it with a little lighter colors, kind of just smushed it up a little bit. That worked out okay. If you saw the intro, and I don't do intros anymore because frankly nobody sees them, but if you did, you'll notice that I generated some AI art showing an old rat rod going through mud puddles. And I thought, well, all right, I want to have that mud splashed up on the side of this body because there are no fenders on this car. So I did that by using the old trick of taking a toothbrush, dipping it in paint, and then sort of flicking it onto the model body so you can see splashes of what looks like mud. Notice that the driver's side has less mud than the passenger side, and that's because I just figured that most of the water is going to reside over by the berm. You're going to splash through more puddles on the passenger side than the driver's side, so that's the way that is. Also did a little more work on the engine. I added another piece of linkage, and that's going to be able to hook up to the throttle cable once this gets inserted in the chassis, which is presenting a bit of a challenge because obviously this is the engine from the Predicta kit, and it wasn't made to fit into this 32 rat rod chassis, so I'm working on that. Here's another little thing. That's just a splinter that I cut off of a wooden stick. And I'm going to drill a hole in it. I'm going to use it as the passenger side door handle, as if the door handle fell off and the owner of the car just decided that he was going to grab whatever he could to keep that door closed. That's going to be this. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, you recall that I made these cut lines in the greenhouse to show where the welds would be from the top being chopped. And I want to fill them in to look like raw welds that were never painted over. And so I'm going to use this solder. This is 0.3 millimeter rosin core solder. And I'm just going to glue it in and then push it down with tweezers or something to show that it looks like a weld. So there's going to be real metal in there replicating the weld. I'm going to glue it in off camera and then I'll show how I push it down. And here now is the wire glued in, and I cut off the ends so that it would fit just right into that post. I put the macro lens on here so you can see it real close. Now what I have to do is take my tweezers and just press all around to flatten it out. And you can see now it's starting to take on a shape sort of like solder, not solder, a weld. Now I've done a couple of them. Let me show you a few things. First of all, on this one, this was a test mule that I did, and it went in very nicely. I got it to stick in with some super glue, and I got those little styrations, and I think it looks pretty much like a weld, and it really looks like it fits in there properly. One of the things I have learned is that I have set the solder in with liquid thin cement, like Tamiya thin cement, first, just to hold it in place. Then I give it a shot of liquid super glue because that will really set it. When I was working these, a couple of times they popped out when I was just using the thin cement. So that wasn't too good. I didn't do this. And then I went over to this. And here you can see, I didn't really care for it at first. Those posts in the center looked like they had just staples kind of wrapped around it. And I didn't like that. Even when I flattened it out, it goes a little thick on the sides, and that's a little difficult. I ended up actually filing these side posts, the B-pillars, with a small file to knock them down a bit, and then I put in the striations. But I also saw that, hitting it with the liquid glue made the paint loosen and run a little bit. So I got some paint on it, and I'm going to have to probably just hit it with a little bit of silver or chrome to bring that back up. This side looks a little better. It doesn't have as much thickness to it, and so it's a little more, I guess, what would you say, realistic. But again, got a little paint on it. The back here, I think, looks much better. This went in rather nicely, and it does have those marks that look like they're sort of like weld marks. I did notice that, again, the paint, or the super glue, I guess it was, ran a little bit. And so it made a mark. I'm probably going to have to touch that up, which is not hard because I just dabbed paint on this body to give it the color. So I think I can get those lines out where the super glue ran. Overall, then, this is okay. I like this one much better. The sides need a little more work. I've got to do this other back one and then the A-pillars on both sides. I'll work on that. I also have to cut down the glass. Since this is a chopped top, the kit glass, of course, is too big. I could just cut clear styrene, and do it. We're going to try cutting down the kit windows first. If that doesn't work, I'll go over to the styrene. And that's where it is. Hopefully next time it's going to be finished. And I'll be working on that. So we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.